Hey folks, welcome to Food for Action. This is the 24th episode. Pretty awesome. I guess in one respect it's awesome. In all other respects it's not awesome because I wish I could be doing this for like a fun reason, doing this for just joy and happiness. Unfortunately, this is to try to bring people together to stamp out something that's so ugly in this world, but in this country and in this world. Let me begin by just sending out much prayers to the family, friends, fellow actors of Chadwick Boseman. Just an awesome dude. He's from South Carolina. He paid his dues, man. He got the hook. He got help from Denzel Washington. He ends up becoming just an icon and gone way too soon. He loved on everybody, and it's funny how selfless he was because he would help and reach out and love on kids that were terminal cancer, and then we find out that he passes from cancer himself. It's a very sad story, but also a very warm, loving story of a selfless human being who paid his dues, did the work to become a living icon, actor, superhero. Stood for a lot of things to a lot of folks, and I have to say, especially in the black community, Chadwick Boseman is he was just an awesome, amazing man, black man, and I know that he's in heaven, and he's got all this happening. So it's with much sadness that we have to talk about his passing. But I send out all the best wishes and prayers to his family, friends, close friends, fellow actors. Also, something that a lot of people aren't discussing, but basketball. I guess he's kind of a legend in Portland. Cliff Robinson passed away as well, and he was an awesome dude. Everybody in basketball loved him. He played. He was kind of a hero for the Portland Trailblazers. Gone too early as well. So much love and prayers out to all his ex-teammates, the present Portland team, and all those who are grieving, his family and friends, and all those who are grieving for him as well. It's been on top of everything that's going on, all of this divisiveness, all of this, all of the horrible racist things that are going on, all these confrontations and clashes, all of the horrible political things that are going on that are lending themselves to that, and actually antagonizing, instigating this stuff. It's just it's a sad thing that although we've lived knowing that racism and systemic racism has existed all of my life, but I've never seen it. Be instigated and enhanced by a sitting president and a White House and a cabinet. I've just never seen this part before. I know when I was a little kid, things were happening like this, similar, and but I was too young to understand it all. I was born in 1968, so I am very old, but but these types of things were happening. There was the civil rights movement, and more. And but since my awareness, since I became a young man, and then since I became an old man, and then a father, um, I've never seen this kind of manipulation, and I've never seen it. I mean, this, you know, and I'm calling it what it is. This president is actually embracing people who are inciting hate and discontent, and I saw this morning that he tweeted about all these people that drove into I can't remember however they say it, Wisconsin, and all these people that are his supporters doing this little caravan thing, and they're spraying stuff on protesters, and um, they're shooting what do you call those guns that people use for tag, with the paintball guns or whatever, and they're shooting these things at people, and they're spraying stuff on people, and it's just and it's condoned, and he's supporting that, and just because people are practicing and expressing their right to protest peacefully, and so these things are devolving or devolving into horrible confrontations, because these things are being stoked by the head of this country, and that is just I've never seen this before. I've seen all kind of hate. I've seen hate on the local levels, um, you know, police departments and so on. I've been the victim of a lot of it, and that's something that I guess we've grown to think is normal, but to see it on this level, on a literally tweeting from the president himself, is just sad and shameful, and not only is it hurtful to us as black people, only is it hurtful for those people that stand with us, but it's also hurtful to our country. I mean, think about this: that there are countries around the world that are looking at us, and I remember we used to look at China this way. We used to look at the Soviet Union this way. We used to look at all these other countries where people were protesting against the government and mistreatment and how they were killing people and so on. We used to look at other countries and say, this is a shame, and we'd be so proud to wave the flag, all of us, even when we were going through the same systemic stuff, because at least we weren't those other countries. Now we're the country that people are talking about. Now all those other countries that are doing such awful things to inhumane things are looking at us as we're the country that nobody wants to follow, that nobody wants to take after. They're looking at us as the example of the awful treatment of its citizens. This is literally what's going on now. This is not propaganda, Mr. Dan Cox. This is the real deal. And if you'd like to pipe in, I definitely can get you on here live so that we can talk about facts. It's not a problem to me. This is such an important time, and again, let me say this. I've been inviting you guys on here forever, and I'm glad that I got you here. And I'm going to even turn down the music for this, because this is so important that we really get to talk about some of this. I grew up in this skin. I grew up watching my father, who was very dark complected. This is stuff that we live. This is stuff that we experience every day. This is not propaganda. This is life. This is what we deal with every single day. You don't deal with it, sir, because you are not in black skin. You are not in brown skin. Dan Cox, you are Caucasian. You are white, sir. And you are not dealing with these things. Okay? Christian Carol, we are talking about the horrible racist things that are going on in this country. We're talking about the inhumane things that are happening in this country against black and brown folks and those who stand with us to protest those things. That's what we're talking about, sir. And again, anybody who would like to come on and talk live, I invite you to do this. I do hours and hours of research all week, every day, and believe you me, we can talk about anything you want to breach. We can talk about it. It's not a problem. Um, that's what I'm here for. This is what I'm doing. I am here to talk about. I am here to talk about the reality in this universe, in this world. I am here to talk about the fact that we are suffering oppressive actions in this country. We are suffering brutality. We are suffering death, murder at the hands of white folks, and the elements in certain police departments, unfortunately, because I love police, support police, have family that's police, so I know that all police departments aren't bad, but there are elements within them that are, and these police departments, they have to have the kahunas to stand up and get rid of those things, those elements from within their departments, so that we don't have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Christian Carroll, if you give me a minute, I can get you in. What I'll have to do is I will have to click on you, and then I'll have to call you. I'm going to have to pull in another device to get you on the phone, okay? So just bear with me for a minute. Shannon Fouch, I thank you so much for your sentiments. You said this makes me sick. I'm sorry that you all are having to go through this horrific situation. And yes, you are correct. It is horrific. And those folks, as you, Shannon, who are paying attention, who are not ignoring and not putting on the blinders to then invoke these false narratives that are handed out during the Republican convention and all this other. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. The people that are not keeping their eyes closed and just spewing the garbage that is the hateful garbage that is given, that is spouted by this administration and those supporting it. It's a shame that those things are happening. It's a shame that we have people like Dan Cox, who I guess he's going to troll this whole show, and that's fine. I love it, because the more that these people, this is one thing that I keep on telling you guys. The reason that I do not, the reason everybody says to me, I got you, brother. Hold on one second. The reason that these people, hold on, let me see if I can get you in now, because I just saw you pop up there. Let me see if I can get you. Can you try to do? Let me see. Oh, here we go. Hold on. It's going to be audio, okay, brother? Let me see if I can get you here. Are you there, sir? Oops. Hold on a minute, you guys. Trying to get Christian in this thing. Okay, well, he's not picking up. Christian, I'm trying to call you on your on the messenger so that I can pull you into this conversation live. I will definitely try again if you don't pick up, because it's still ringing, as you can probably hear. Shannon, I support the police as well. All of the good police officers, all of those who risk their lives to and sacrifice.
What's up, man?
Hey, Christian, hold on a second, brother. So all of the police officers that are doing the job that we pay taxes for, to protect and serve all of our communities, the underserved as well as the suburbs, as well as the highfalutin, rich, hoity-toity neighborhoods. We love you all. But what we don't love is the element that exists within that feels that they are privileged, or that they are self-appointed judge, jury, executioners to people that don't deserve that kind of treatment. In turn, we end up with with heavy abuses. We end up with murders, as we know, and as I try to bring some of these to your attention every week, as well as other folks. So we have to make sure that we call everything as it is, and not try to candy coat things just to placate our comfort levels. Christian Carroll, hey, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, good. I'm sitting here, and today's a better day health wise for me. I don't know if you followed the battle that I have with chronic Lyme disease, but it's a better day today, and I'm glad because there's a lot to talk about. Tell me what's
It's
on your mind, boss.
well, no. I what do you call it? I scrolled past your live feed and I saw that like this guy Dan was saying that like you're a race baiter and things like that. And
Right.
I really disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree with that personally is because as a white person in America, I could never ever speak on the behalf of a black man or a black woman or a black child in this.
Right, and I respect that. That is the first step. You still there, Christian? You still there? All right, I might have
Uh,
lost him. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you
Okay,
hear
good.
me?
Yeah, I lost you for a second. Christian, I appreciate what you're saying. It's a very important factor there because that actually is the foundation of understanding that I work to try to achieve with folks, and that is to I don't ask anybody to understand completely what the plight is. What I ask people to do is step back and say, and instead of trying to put other people's views on it and try to come to this false narrative and add to that, and then try to do something from something that they know nothing about, I encourage people to say, wait a minute, maybe I don't know what's going on. Maybe I don't understand the plight of black folk because I don't walk in black skin. Just like I would never say to you, I understand what it is like to walk in white skin because I don't have white skin. Do you see what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And so I appreciate that. And I would ask you, this is one of the things that I ask. I ask you to talk to your fellow white folks. Not just talk to us, not just do what you're doing now. I love it. Awesome. As a matter of fact, if you see anybody else's live streams, jump on theirs too. See if you can say the same thing. Because
Right.
but I want you to talk to other white folks because the conversation that you can have with them in a lot of ways can be more effective than the conversation that we can have, no matter how knowledgeable it might be or seem.
Right.
Because reception, people being receptive, is a catch 22 sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's for everybody. That's for black folk, white
Absolutely.
folks, every race. Sometimes it's harder for us to accept a truth or something that makes us uncomfortable from the people that we're making uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I
Yes.
think that if I can say that, what do you call it? I think that the media plays a giant role in that as far as creating division is concerned.
Sure.
Um, on the Republican side, as well as the Democratic side,
Sure.
instead of us, like, and I see it every day on Facebook, like every single day,
Sure.
here comes like a Republican who has some like bullshit to say,
Right.
you know what I mean? That's absolute bullcrap, you know what I
Right.
mean? And then
Right.
here comes another Democrat that says the same thing. When all this is, see, personally, I'm Irish Native American.
Okay.
Um, what do you call it? And so, like, I'm familiar with, oppression tactics and like divide and conquer.
Right.
And it seems like this is what, the media is trying to achieve on a daily basis is to divide us and
Right.
conquer us all. You
Yep.
know what I mean? I think
Yep.
that they want us to kill one another off
Right.
instead of actually having a dialogue with one another that's peaceful and calm. Because we've
Right.
got these trolls, you know what I mean? These
Yep.
trolls that come to mind. It could be from any country. You don't know where
Sure.
they're from.
Sure.
Somebody who's sitting from behind a computer screen could be in Russia or China. Doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? They
Yep.
could just be doing that to set you off, to hate your neighbor.
Right.
Doesn't matter what color their skin is. But
Absolutely.
at the same time, like as Americans, we have to recognize
Right.
that there has been since African Americans have came to this country have been enslaved and oppressed by a system that was designed to keep them slave and oppressed.
Right. And let me say this bit quick. I got to get on to some other folks too. But I
No
appreciate
problem.
you. But let me also say that to add to what you're saying is yes. Since we came unwillingly to this country, not only us, but indigenous folk, a lot of people like to say, well, white people they settled in this country, they created settlements and so on. No, there was already settlements in this country. There was indigenous folks who had settled in this country. This was their country. But even more so, when we did arrive here, no matter the means, we arrived here and not of our own free will, and we were never considered to be equal human beings. We were considered to be property. We were a thing. And so when the Bill of Rights, when the Constitution, when most of the first and initial laws that were of the quote unquote founding nature of this country came into light or into origin, what happened is that even though they said one nation under all, even though they said all men, so on and so forth, we were not considered all. So when people talk about now, when they say all lives matter, well, sure, all lives in concept do matter, but the problem is that from the beginning of this country, we had to fight to become part of all. And it took us hundreds of years to do that. And still we're having a problem being considered equal just as all. So so these are things people have to talk about. Brother, thank you very much, Christian. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep on standing up for what is right in this country, man. Love you. Keep on and check us out, man, every Wednesday and Sunday, okay, brother?
Will do, man. Take care. Be
yes,
safe
sir.
out there.
You too, boss. God bless.
All the best.
Yes, sir. So yeah, so that's awesome, and I appreciate Christian, and trust me, I speak to so many people during the week, just as who have a nice understanding, just as Christian. You know, my mom is going to come on here soon. My mom is white. My father is black. For those of you who don't know. And so soon I'm going to have my mom on. And when she comes on, I hope that will shut a lot of people up. Because my mom was raised, I don't even want to get into the whole story. Let's just say it this way. That my mom typifies, and my father's relationship typifies how this country was constructed, how black folk have been treated since day one, and the perception of what a relationship should or should not be in this country, the levels to the disrespect or respect of black folk as well. Okay, I got some more stuff about Dan Cox. He's definitely trolling, doing his thing. He says the black experience is a false narrative used to push the oppression narrative. So Dan Cox, we're going to have you on a special day. I want to actually, because you don't deserve 5 minutes like I do for people on a day like this. You deserve a whole show. So, Mr. Dan Cox, here's what I'm going to tell you live. I am going to offer you to come on. Let me. I have a couple of people that are supposed to be guests the next couple of weeks, but somewhere in there, I'm going to try to fit in at least a good 30, 40 minutes for you, if you have that much to talk about. And we're definitely going to talk about these things. I'm taking screenshots of these things so that I can have them in the archive, just to make sure that we reference all of these things. It's so funny. That while I'm scrolling through, I see things about him saying that there are plenty of white people who came against their will too. Sure, there was lots of white people who came against their will. Does not even compare to the existence of what black folk, what was done to black folks for hundreds of years in this country, and still happens. So we're going to do that, Dan Cox, because I don't want you to think that anybody's brushing you off, but you and your situation deserves. I think you deserve some time, because I want people to hear the opinions that you have. I think it's very important that people understand. It's the same reason why I point out people's posts during the week. It's the same reason why I point out the ugly things that people say and the ugly things that people do on Facebook, so that everybody is open and wakes up to who is online with you. You know, we all fell in love with social media. Now I want people to take advantage of it to understand who are they friends with, quote unquote. Who are they in lockstep with, seemingly, on Facebook? And I'm not telling you to get rid of them, because I don't get rid of anybody. I don't care what somebody says to me, how offensive it might be, how hateful it might be. I'm not blocking them from my Facebook page. Do you know why? Because I want everybody to see it. It does us no good to hide the hateful things. It does us no good to hide the ignorant things. It does us no good to block these people. No, we have to understand how these people who are claiming to be our friends, how they feel, how they think. What is it that why are they acting the way that they are? Why are they espousing the things that they espouse? Why do they tend to spew hateful things, but confuse them with I guess what they consider regular life? So it's so important. It's so important for us to not run from these conversations, and then also it's important for us to make sure that we are not battling with these people, but we are speaking, we are engaging in conversation with these people, because we never know which thing we might say that may be the effective thing. We never know. Never know. I've learned that since I've been doing this. This is my 24th episode, and I'm telling you that there are literally almost 40 something people who engaged in conversation, who used to say hateful things about black people and racism, and trying to deny it, and now they have joined the fight against racism. So you never know who you're talking to and when it might be effective. That's up to God to do, and I believe He gave me this platform in order to effectively carry on these conversations. Let's see. So let me move on. And Dan Cox, I did not say your name. I guess I have to keep on addressing him. But so Dan, I did not say your name as far as hate or ignorance. I'm saying something in general about hate or ignorance. So please be careful. Let's see. So very important, though. Like I said, I'm speaking in generalities. I'm speaking to the fact that anybody who spews hate, anybody who denies racism, which is a proven thing, anybody who denies slavery, proven, anybody who denies systemic racism, proven, even to this day. 98% of all police departments in this country, the heads of those police departments, ADs, AGs of cities, admit that there is systemic racism. So the few that don't, I don't know what to say about that. But the point is that so when these things are things that people espouse, again, I'm not here to battle with people. I'm here to shed light. I am here to again, something that Dan Cox, what you said earlier, is that I am here to tell you about the black experience because I live it every day. And I have family members that live it every day. I've given you examples of things that I've been through over the past 24 episodes. So again, it's so important. It's so important to make sure that when you know that something exists, don't let people try to bully you or try to dissuade you from expressing these things. All you got to do is study. All you got to do is study. All you got to do is gather your facts along with your experiences, and like I do, and provide resources so that people can see these things for themselves. There's nothing that I have said on any of these episodes that anybody can say is wrong. Let me let you know that. Be sure to know. And let me say this, Dan, you can get your opportunity. Like I said, I'm going to set it up for you. So I appreciate you engaging in the conversation, as I said earlier. But yeah, okay. Let's see. Shannon said something. Shannon said it's not false. You are correct, Shannon. I appreciate your sentiment. Again, let me also be clear. A lot of times in these conversations, after I end the live, I'll see things that are transpiring later where people are battling, where people are starting to name call and all that stuff. Please don't engage in that. If people on the side of what we believe may be negative or wrong, or hurtful, if they begin to do that, just let them do it. Don't take part. Don't fall into the name calling. Don't fall into the and to that ugly stuff or bullying stuff. That's just not appropriate here. Take that to another site if that's what you have to do. Keep it positive. Make sure that everything you say never loses the point. If you lose the point, then it is all moot. It becomes pointless, the whole conversation. So make sure that you don't let anybody trick you into taking that other road where the conversations get lost. It's very important. No, don't take part of that. Don't fall to that. To that. It's a little trickery thing. I don't know if it's even intentional, but it's what happens. Let me also say this. So I didn't get to do this. Let me read the mission statement for this so that everybody understands again. I and we acknowledge when we take part in this is the statement for when we take part in these conversations for Food for Action, which is this platform. It is called Food for Action. And when we do this, we are acknowledging and expressing the racial divide, racism, oppression, exploitation, systemic racism, and violence against black men, black women, black youth in the United States and all over the world. I and we will proactively help create a path to a true united state in America. It's very important that that's what our mission is. If you find yourself off course of trying to create unity in this country, then get right back on. Don't let yourself get swayed through arguments. Don't let yourself get sidetracked through arguments. Make sure that you keep it all focused. Find a point, grasp that point, find supporting evidence of that point, and keep it moving. People will not like it. People will get offended. People will start being ugly because of the point is being made and carried out, but that's okay. That's part of the communication thing. Just don't make it a competition. Don't make it a, you could be playfully, you can use playful banter. That's up to you. But don't get caught in the name calling and the and grandizing yourself. That's not what this is. This is about humility. This is about selflessness. So we're trying to express things that will create love and stamp out hatred, not the opposite. Okay, very, 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 very important that you guys, when you're engaging, that you do that along with myself. And I guess saying that reminds me as well. I can't even tell you how many folks have. I don't know how many folks have been calling and saying the most hateful, horrible things, horrible things, and I can't tell you those things, and if you did, you'd wonder how I could still do this. And that's not to pat myself on the back. That's just to tell you that that this really has to do with being selfless. You have to take your feelings outside of it. A lot of times I do get emotional when I see more death happening, when I see more abuse happening. Then I definitely get, it hurts. But then get back on point. Kyle Blazer, just a little break from all of everything. I watched you years ago do a cover of She Talks to Angels and was blown away. Thank you. I don't remember doing it, but again, I did music for many, 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 many years. So I definitely appreciate that sentiment. Thank you, sir. High fives to you for that. And I hope that soon I will be able to get back to that stuff as well. I'm sure a lot of people know that I have chronic Lyme disease now, so I have muscle nerve pains head to toe, and I have these ridiculous headaches, which is why I wear these dark prescription glasses. So it's not to be cool. It's actually because I suffer headaches and lots of pain throughout my body. But the point is that I've had to step away from a lot of performance because my muscles and things just don't cooperate. But anyways, and I believe that's why God, after all this time, has allowed me to do this, to touch lives. Shannon, name calling is not expected. We just need to stand together and voice our opinions. Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I let everybody take part. I am not blocking people. I'm not stopping people from taking part. I invite everybody. Unfortunately, because of Dan Cox's extreme amount of content he wants to talk about, I have to set him aside for a future show in order that we can dedicate more time to conversing with him, because I think that his views and opinions and experiences are probably unique in a way, or maybe not, but maybe to a lot of us they will appear to be unique, and so we want people to hear those things and that reasoning, so that we understand folks who come from that type of a viewpoint. So I think it's really important for us as a nation, as a people, to definitely to invite everybody's experience to the table. We're not going to understand. We're not going to know how to combat things. We're not going to know how to overcome things unless we understand all of it, where it came from and how it exists now. Why do people feel the way they feel? Why do people say the things they say? Why do people act the way they act? So on and so forth. We can't just judge people. We have to hear it from them too. So that's why he's going to come on in the future. Let's see. Latoya Renee, dear Dan, Witten Marcellus. Oh, this is a statement for Dan. This is from Latoya Renee to Dan Cox. She says, Wynton Marsalis broke down the concept of blackness as a social construct invented to label a group the other. Whoops, where is that at? I just passed it. Okay, the other. If you are into music, I would watch the Aspen Institute's latest video with Wynton. So that would be Wynton Marsalis and John Baptiste. Thank you, Latoya, for that. And make sure you direct that to Dan so that you guys can engage in the conversation. Remember, this platform is for that. We're not just talking to me. It's just not me and you. It's you guys talking with each other too. So again, keep it peaceful and keep it grounded and keep it pointed. But I would say, Latoya, if you can put an edit on that message and put Dan Cox, put his name on there. If he's not your friend already, maybe you can friend him and talk to him personally with that, as well as everybody else. I think that would be really important for you guys to engage. Let's see. Shannon says, totally understand, but I stand for all. Shannon, that's wonderful. Again, this is, let me say this. How do I do this double negative? This is not about all. In other words, nobody's trying to exclude anyone. Nobody's trying not to include. But what we're saying is that we've been not included for years, hundreds of years. And so that is why we are attempting to bring folks' attention to Black lives. It's not about one specific group of Black Lives Matters. It's not about any of that. It's each individual person, Black experience in this country who is trying to let you understand what we have to go through and where it came from. We were never understood. I said this earlier. When the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and the national anthem and some of these things came to light, came to be, we weren't considered part of that. We weren't considered part of all. When it said one nation under all, indivisible, and all, we weren't that. We weren't all. I was reciting parts of the Constitution, and I recited parts of preamble. I did all this stuff Wednesday. We weren't all then. We were nobody. We weren't part of it. We couldn't vote. We didn't have any. There was no suggestion box for us to put things in. We weren't included in any of that. And so that is what this country was built on. That's where the laws that we still live by today, even though some things have been edited or amended since then, that's where it all came from. It came from a point where we weren't considered as all. We weren't even considered human beings. So as lovely as it is when people say, "But I love everybody. I'm for all people." That's fine. That's a great thing to do. The problem is that if you don't acknowledge the folks who have been tread upon, who have been oppressed for all these years, who still get that treatment, if you don't at some point focus on those folks, when do you focus on those folks? When do we become part of all? Because it hasn't happened yet. We get handouts here and there. We get an occasional Senate seat. We get an occasional management job. We get an occasional this or that. But we're not equal seats at the table. We're not equal votes. We're not equal any of that. Matter of fact, in most of the times we get people try to stop us from voting. They switch polling places. They switch. What's the word? I'm sorry, lost the word for that. It'll come to me later. But so many things are done to prevent us from having an equal say and to have equal treatment and equal access. So until that happens, until it actually becomes equal, we're still not considered all. So as you might personally say, I love all people, that doesn't do anything for us who have not been considered all. I should make a new shirt that says "We are not all" because we're not, and we're fighting for that still. Okay. Let's see. Latoya said, "Dear Dan, I say this to say that even though you can't empathize with someone's experience, doesn't mean it doesn't. Yeah, right. It's not doesn't equal an experience. And again." And these are things that I say all the time. So Latoya, again, please direct that to Dan Cox. See if you can friend him and talk to him personally. That would be awesome. I know that and I understand that. You all deserve whatever everyone deserves, and makes me angry that you all don't get recognition. Again, and see, and like I say that, Shannon, only one thing that I would suggest with you, and this might be just semantics in the way that you express this, but if I may say respectfully, if you say, uh, when you say, I know that I understand you all deserve it. Um, you all, we're. Uh, I get that it might be the only way that you can think at the moment to express that, but you can say black people. You can say African American people. You can say that I know that African American people, I know that black people, excuse me, deserve what everyone else deserves, and it makes me angry that black people don't get the recognition that that you deserve. And if you said that to another white person, if you said that to other black people, I guarantee you will see everyone's hearts. You will see your friends' hearts. You will see those who are not your friends' hearts. You will see the true insides, the true feelings of those who you communicate with now. You'll see how they respond and who's who when you express things directly. Okay, I appreciate all the things that you're saying. Awesome. I appreciate everybody that's taking part. It's very awesome. It's a very heavy day, obviously, like I said earlier, with all the things that are going on, the clashes and the things that are being instigated. And then, of course, the loss of two more folks, Chadwick Boseman, um, great person, great actor, and then Cliff Robinson, great person, great basketball player from Portland Trailblazers. We lost both of those guys. 2 days. I mean, it's Saturday, I believe. It's just it's heartbreaking, and it's tough. I'm sorry, Friday. So, I ask everyone to to please pray for their families and pray for everyone that's going through these things now. Pray for everyone that pray for people who don't understand. Pray for people who don't see. Pray for people who are easily swayed by folks that are deceiving. That there's a lot of people in this country. There's a young lady who plays tennis. She is like I want to say African American. She's biracial, like part African American, part Japanese, I believe. And I can't remember her name, and I'm sorry about that. But she said a very interesting thing today. She said, she didn't take part in matches on the day that in the midst of all this stuff, just as NBA players did, and she had an interview. I think it was this afternoon or this morning, where she told people, "I'm not a leader." She said that. She was speaking of herself. She said she's not a leader. She's a follower. And follower is not a bad thing. There are some people that are meant to be leaders, and there are some people that are meant to be followers, they just don't have that thing within them. They weren't given that thing where they just kind of, can Pied Piper or can have that, conviction inside that makes them do that. And so what I say what I say. Oh no, you can say that without. Let me. Yes, you can say that without retaliation. You just don't say the N word, and I'm not trying to be funny. If you say black people or you say African Americans, then that's what you say, and be assertive, be strong when you say that, because that is appreciated by us. It is appreciated when someone, especially a white person, in the midst of all this pain and grief and hardship that we're going through in society, it is appreciative when a white person turns to us and says, "I appreciate you, black person, you African American person." Not in an insult. Don't say it with strife. Say it with love. You know, I appreciate the black community. I appreciate black people. I love black people. What can I do for you, black people? How can I help you, black folks? How can I? You know what I mean? And be direct, because that is the same thing that is done in the opposite way, where people are either saying the bad word, the N word, or they're candy coating things with saying you people or you all, or whatever, and so that becomes kind of, it has these under ripplings of not really sincerity or not real conviction to it. It's more like a way to just fluff over the top. And I'm not saying that that's what you were doing. I'm saying that, thank you. Black lives do absolutely matter. Thank you, Shannon. And that's what needs to be said. And when you say that, don't just say it to us. Say it to other white people. That is the point. We need white folks to be on our side, like what are happening in so many peaceful protests. What's happening around this country is that now we have a group of young folks that are standing with us for fighting, helping us fight for equality, helping us fight for the remedying of laws and things that have been created to hold us back or hold us down. So we want white folks to stand with us. We need your help. Like I was telling Christian earlier, Christian Carroll, a lot of times things that I say aren't going to they're not going to be effective when I say them to somebody white that has maybe hate in their heart or confusion about what's happening or a misunderstanding, but they will accept it maybe from listening to you. And so it's a very important factor. This is why we want everyone to come together, and let's work together to stamp this stuff out. If we do it together, we can rid this country of racism as a primary principle or founding principle in this country. Because right now it is that, and we have not been able to do it by ourselves to get from under that. So as you see in the country today, so I also posted something very interesting on my profile page earlier. It's a guy that's given a little talk about some examples in his life about some racist things that he ended up having to deal with. But he makes some very valid points, gives lots of statistics, gives lots of facts and references and so on. And so I ask you guys, if you don't mind, after we're done here, please go to my page and look for that post. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. It is something that I posted earlier. It is called. It is from TED, TED, that channel, and it's called. It's called "A White Man Calls Police on a Black Woman Using Neighborhood Something or Other." But anyways, and it says Barbecue Becky and the Crime of Living While Black. And it's a guy that's kind of humorous, but also telling a true to life story that he in different situations that he experienced. And so I think he did a wonderful job of of um, of telling these stories. He's got 21 million views. So I'm just figuring that people are paying attention. So I invite you guys to do that. I posted it today. I don't remember what time, but just a couple hours ago. It's probably the first thing that shows up on my page when you, except maybe this once we're done. So please check that out. So anyways, again, thank you, Shannon, for taking part. It's awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you, Kyle Blazer. Thank you, Dan Cox. Thank you, Christian Carroll. Um, let's see. I can't see everybody's things anymore because there's too many happening. So let me move forward. I wanted to go through something also that should be another thing to let people understand what we're going through. I try to post as many things on Instagram and the Food for Action page and my profile page, and I keep them all, relative, with and try to keep them, just in case somebody doesn't look at one but has a chance to see the other. And I think I'm putting up things that are really, 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 really important. So today one of the things that I did, and like I told you guys, I always look through, and I have a couple people who work alongside of me, who we go through my friends list, because now I have 4,997 friends on Facebook, and so it's hard for me to see everybody's on there by myself. So I have a couple people who go through this with me, and throughout the week, and we go through and we find posts from people that seem like they might be leaning towards racist. And because I want to make you guys aware, just in case you're friends of these people. So what I do is I point out the posts, I point out the people that take part in the posts, and I point out the things that are actually said that you can see if you look at the posts. Okay? So this one, this took place, let's see, hold on. The person who actually posted it was Tony Hubbard. So Tony Hubbard posted something, and it's pretty long, so I'm going to read some of it. I can't read all of it. You guys can look at it later. He says, I have often wondered about why whites are racist and no other race is, which nobody ever said that. But this is what he says. And he says, so you understand where the post is going to go because of how he starts. Someone finally said it. How many are actually paying attention to this? Let's see. He says, Tony Hubbard says, there are African Americans, Mexican Americans, Asian Americans, Arab Americans, etc. And there are just Americans. You pass me on the street and sneer in my direction. You call me white boy, cracker, honky, whitey, caveman, and that's okay. This is what he's saying. You say that whites commit a lot of violence against you, so why are the ghettos the most dangerous places to live? You have the United Negro College Fund, you have Martin Luther King Day, you have Black History Month, you have Cesar Chavez Day, you have Yom HaShoah, you have Malod Al-Nabi, you have the NAACP, you have BET. Okay, so basically what he's doing is he's epitomizing the racist stereotypes of what things will spark white folks into anger. So he says all of those things, and then he says, if we had WET, white entertainment television, we'd be racist. If we had a White Pride Day, you would call us racist. If we had White History Month, we'd be racist. Let me address all of that first, because I think it can be done with one swoop. First of all, Mr. Tony Hubbard. If anybody knows him, please look on your online and see if you become friends of his through friends and all that suggestions and things that happen. His Tony Hubbard, Hubbard. So first of all, if somebody was rude to you, whoever it may be, and just walked by you with a sneer and called you white boy, cracker, honky, whitey, caveman, if they did that, then they're wrong for doing that. So you should have called them out, or you ignored them maybe to keep the peace. I don't know what you did, but that's wrong for anybody to do. Name calling, like I tell you on this show, is the wrong thing for anyone to do. None of that is acceptable. Okay. And most black people believe that that's not acceptable. So let me clear that air, because that's the first thing of where he is just trying to incite something, some negative response to begin with, because he's already trying to imply that is something that's okay with black people as a whole. And no, that is not okay. Most black people do not approve of anybody calling anybody else names. It's not a fun thing. It's not a funny thing. It's not a respectful thing. We don't want it done to us, and we don't want us to do it to anyone else. So Very clear on that. Number two, you said that the ghettos are the most dangerous places to live. That is incorrect, sir. Let me be very clear. 85%. This is something you can look up on any .gov, on any government website. 85% of violent crime against white people is committed by white people. Let me say that again. Any .gov, any government site you would like to look under, 85%, if not more by now, by the way, because this was 2019 statistic, 85% of violent crime, or actually any violent crime or any heinous crime whatsoever against white people, has been done against white people. It's just that nobody says white on white crime like people like to coin the phrase black on black crime. It's become a comfortable thing for white folks to say that, but yet nobody says anything about white on white crime, even though that is 85% of white folks' violent crime is done by white people against white people. This is something that is also systemic within each segregated community. So when you go to a community that is predominantly Hispanic, you will find that most of that crime is Hispanic driven. If you go to a predominantly black neighborhood, it will be predominantly black. If you go to a white, and so on. That's how all communities of a predominant race works. It's unfortunate that any of the crime happens in the first place, but that is not something that is black based, as he is trying to infer by saying that about ghettos. Excuse me. Next, he says we have United Negro College Fund. Well, we didn't need United Negro College Fund until we were kept from scholarships and things that were not available to us before in order to get to good colleges. So we needed something that would enable us to go and financially to out of our underserved and impoverished neighborhoods. In order for us to get into those good colleges, we needed a fund to be set up. We needed that to happen because we weren't getting it any other way. Number two, Martin Luther King Day. Yeah, well, before Martin Luther King Day, we all understand that Martin Luther King is a respected and a peaceful civil rights leader. Even though he was abused, thrown rocks at, kicked, beaten, so on and so forth, battered and beyond, and then shot and killed, we know that he tried to do everything to promote peaceful protest in order to stand up for the rights and equality for black people. And so did he deserve a holiday? Absolutely. There are white folks that have holidays that don't deserve them. For example, Christopher Columbus, he didn't discover America, but people try to say that. So, and there's more. We can go on. We can have a whole day about that. But that's just one example. Black History Month. Well, let's say that. So after hundreds of years, then we were provided the shortest month of the year. That would be February, because it's 28 days, except for leap year where it has 29. Somebody allowed us, quote unquote, they gave us, which is what you guys like to say, we gave you this and we gave you that. So we have 1 month where we are supposed to be so privileged in order to celebrate outwardly black people who have created things, black people who invented things, black people who stood for things, black people who made contributions. Although we contributed to everything in this country, rather it was on our backs, blood and lives under slavery or beyond. So we understand that that's the case. Then you talk about Cesar Chavez Day. I don't even understand why that was even thrown in. So we're not even going to have to address that. That makes no sense whatsoever. Neither is Malued. I don't know how to pronounce it all because I don't speak that fluently. But Al-Nabi, we don't have to do that. You say NAACP. Okay, well, why do we have the National Association, African American Association for Colored People? Why do we have that? Because we weren't represented by anybody else when we were trying to fight for rights of black people in this country. You don't have to worry about that. White people didn't have to worry about fighting for their rights in this country because the country was established for white people. So again, no point in saying that. BET. Let me explain this. So we ended up having somebody be brilliant enough to come up with the concept of BET. because there were no television that ever concentrated or focused on the entertainment arts that focused on black people in America, even though it contributed in some ways just as much or more than other folks in America that were given props on a normal basis. Every station was white TV. Every station was WET, as you wanted to put it, white entertainment television. Every single station, almost every single series, except for those that were stereotypically brought about, like the Jeffersons or Good Times or Sanford and Son or Right On, or I mean, come on, listen. There was a purpose behind BET. It was to try to have some way that we can be proud of what's on TV, to be included, to have some inclusion in what went on TV. So please, please, please don't say that. But again, those people that you are speaking those things to, those are things that are directed to people who don't know any better. You're directing those statements to people who don't have any clue about the history of TV, who don't understand the concept of us being left out of TV, who don't understand that we just got to the point in the last couple decades where we are feature actors and features and stars of film and stars of major sitcoms and TV series and so on. So again, but you didn't have that issue. So you didn't have to have a white entertainment television, again, because every television station was white entertainment television and still is to a great degree. So these are the kind of things that this guy was saying, and so and then he went on to say, if we had any organization for only whites to advance our lives, we'd be racist. But you do. That is the whole point. Almost every organization in this country that has been organized or instituted has started out on the precipice of white America. The only ones that don't are the ones that have black tags to them because we had to invent them so that we could have some rights and try to have some voice. So again, I mean, and his thing goes on and on and on with statements like that. And so after that, I had to he let's see. He's and let me read the ending of this thing. So he says, why is it that only whites can be racist? Nobody ever said that. There is nothing improper about this post. That is why we have lost most of our rights in this country, which is not true. You haven't lost any of your rights. We're still fighting for ours. We won't stand up for ourselves. Be proud to be white. It's not a crime. This is this guy's Tony Hubbard. Please look at it yourself and read this. It's very important that people check this out. I'll try to see. I think I saved it. I'll try to repost it. I hate to do that on maybe I'll repost it under the show so that people can go back and look at it, because I don't want to put this on as a headline on my profile page or anything. I think that would be disrespectful to what I and we are doing here. So after this, I want to tell you all the people that took part in this conversation. So there was a David Kroll, who is 214 friends mutual with me. There was a Sonia Somerville, who loved it. She gave it a heart. Who has 217 mutual friends with me. There was a Steve White, who has 125 mutual friends. A Kay Hubbard, who has only one mutual friend, and then a Jessica Holt, who has two, who loved it. Kay Hubbard said absolutely, agreeing with him with 2 thumbs up. That's Kay Hubbard. I guess that's his wife or his girlfriend or daughter, or who knows. Joe West is the only person who actually tried to explain some of what I explained to you about the Bill of Rights. Constitution was written by white people for white people in the United States, and he tried to point out some good stuff, which is awesome. So props to you, Joe West. You are awesome. There was then Sonia Somerville Webb then tries to denounce what Joe West said. She says, "Do you realize that there were black slave owners as well? Do you also do realize that I don't know any of anyone alive today that owns a slave?" So basically, she goes and she crumbles to the old reliable, "We're not doing it now, why are we blamed for it?" Which is a very ignorant thing to say, and I'm not trying to call names. I'm trying to just point out a fact that it is ignorant for any person here that lives and breathes air today. Well, actually, there are some older folks who were alive during times of civil unrest, and I think even a few people that are holding on from slavery days, who were born into slavery. There were very little kids at that time, and maybe they're in their 90s and are breaching 100 by now, and so on. And so they experience some of those things. Let me be clear. Um, that there's there's nobody beside that. There's nobody of my generation. I'm 51. I'll be 52. There's nobody from my generation that has been a slave, except in certain ways. We can talk semantics there, where we can say, well, because we worked under certain conditions, it's equivalent to today to slavery back then. So you can call equivalencies to things, but I haven't been worked in a field, and I haven't had anybody put a strap to my back to where I'm bleeding and scarred. I've had my head bashed against car windows. I've had been shot at. So I've had some of those other things happen. But and then I'm sure that there's nobody here who runs a plantation now. White folks that have a plantation who has slaves. But then again, some folks do have underpaid minority labor on their farms or properties or companies, warehouses, factories, and so on. So let me be clear that some of those principles do still exist. Are they considered out and out racist? I mean, excuse me, slave owners? No. But as legal as slavery can get, those things still do exist. Okay? So that's what she had to say. Then we had somebody else who wanted to throw in the Irish, who were brought in, who were mistreated, who came here to have a better life, and that they were mistreated and so on. But let me explain something. They were not. There is no other people in America besides indigenous folk who had the atrocities brought upon them, and still do today, that have been brought upon black and brown people. There are none in this country. If you don't believe me, Google it. It's easy to do. This is nothing that needs. It doesn't cause sweat. It doesn't cause blood. It will cause tears. But to find out that I am speaking truth is easy as pie. Okay. Then we had somebody who said, "I'm proud to," Sheena Vaughn Forbes, who said she's proud to be a single white woman, and I'm not a racist. I love everyone. I mean, I can't fault her for saying something like that. Although she says she follows that up with her life or our lives matter, that just as much as anyone else's lives do, skin color or whatever, which again I pointed out before, because of the fact that yes, everybody's lives are supposed to be as valuable, and they are supposed to be as everybody's lives are supposed to be as meaningful under God as everyone's, even according to our Constitution and Bill of Rights and so on. Unfortunately, that's not how those things were brought into existence. We were not equal when those things were written. We did not have equal say-so or equal opinions or equal seats at the table in order to create, write, or institute those laws and those bills and movements and amendments. So because of that, we have never been equal at the table. We have some seats at the table now in Congress. We have some seats in local level government. We have some seats in police departments. We have some seats here and there, but we are in no way whatsoever equal at the table. And so that means that in the institution itself, the institution of government, the institution of manufacturing, the institution of healthcare, the institution of education, the institution of every system within this country, we are not considered equal yet, because we have not been given equal access or equal seats. or seating at the table. It's very important for people to understand that, because that is why we still have that's where most of these problems stem from. That is why certain people who are bigoted and whatsoever feel that they can treat our lives any way that they want to. Rather it's elements in police departments, or rather it's just, what do they call them now, Karens or whatever, is because they feel, people feel what's the word? They feel so privileged. They feel in a way that we're not as good. I mean, you can watch the videos every day of people doing this. You can get on Facebook and go to the video section, and you watch hundreds and hundreds on top of hundreds of videos with people, white folks, that are literally calling police on black people just for existing, just for sitting down, just for sitting at a pool where in their apartment complex or in their hotel, just for I watched one today where there were these young college kids. They went in to buy some snacks in a grocery store. You can see it yourself. And because they were in that grocery store purchasing with money in a line, and were still called, excuse me, still apprehended, quote unquote, by the store security, and the police were called on them. These are the things that happen to us on daily basis. It's like if white people don't feel that we belong in a certain community, don't believe that we belong at a certain party, don't feel that we belong at a certain park, don't believe that we belong driving a certain kind of vehicle, don't believe that we belong in a certain area, don't believe that we should be. I mean, I watched one today where people were riding their bikes and they stopped for a minute to breathe and whatever, and they were held at gunpoint, and police called on them, and they were let go, and the other guy that held the gun was arrested. But still, these are the kind of things that people feel like they can do to black people. They feel that so many white people feel that we are not we are not supposed to be breathing the same air, walking the same streets, and it's a very sad thing, because when you get to heaven, you're going to be really surprised, because there is no division, there is no segregation in heaven. So it's going to be a crazy wake up call if you make it to heaven. Believe it. So. And we're not the judge or jury of that. That's between you guys and God. So anyway, so these are the kind of things that happen, and that's one of the posts. Make sure you guys look that up. There is, again, I tried to read you all the people. Again, there's a Dave Kroll, Nathan Roddy, Nathan Roddy, Orddy, who said, "Let's get rid of Martin Luther King and anything." You know. Richard Rivette, which is Riveette. Joe West was the guy that stood up for us, but look up Sonia Somerville Webb, look up Kay Hubbard, look up Steve White, Jessica Hult, Hult. I said David Kroll already. So this is the kind of stuff that's happening on Facebook right under your noses. Like I showed you, a few of these people have 200 plus friends in common with me, and if I wasn't paying attention, I would never know, and I might see a nice post that they do, and just wouldn't even be aware that they're saying this other stuff in other posts. And what you'll find out as well in most of these posts is that you won't see any black people involved in these posts. You won't see any Hispanic people involved in these posts. It's only white people speaking amongst themselves, feeling free to express these things, and freedom of speech. So you can do that. But it is up to us to be aware that they're speaking this way, that they believe this way, and that they're smiling in our faces, calling us friends, and then behind our backs, this is what they think of black people and our plight in America. I saw another thing that says Black Lives Matter has done more to promote racism in the past 3 weeks than all the Confederate memorials in the past 100 years. Let me say, that is the most absurd thing that I've ever heard. If it wasn't for the black murders, if it wasn't for by police officers, and most of them white, if it wasn't for all of these injustices and Karens and everything else that I've mentioned today, in equality, speaking of inequality, then we wouldn't be talking about any of this. If we were treated fairly, there would be nothing to talk about. If we had the same access to the same education, if we had the same access to seats in government, if we had the same access to votes, if people weren't trying to suppress do the voter suppression thing, if we had an equal say in this country, equal voice in this country, then we wouldn't be talking about any of this. If you guys stop the racist activity and even out the playing field, even out, then maybe this conversation would cease to exist. Have you ever thought about that? If you want people to stop talking about this, then do away with it. Get rid of it. Get rid of the hate. Get rid of the oppression. Get rid of the violence against black people. Get rid of it. It's a cure. It sounds simple. It's not simple though, is it? Because if you get rid of these things, then we become equal. And that seems to be a problem for a lot of white people. And I don't understand why. My mom's white. She doesn't understand that. Let me say it again. My mom is white. She does not understand why there are so many white people that subscribe to the inequality in this country and refuse to admit it, even though it's right in front of everybody's faces. Look, let me be clear. The majority of this country, white, black, or otherwise, agrees and admits and acknowledges racism and systemic racism. The portion percentage of the population that doesn't agree, that is so harmful, that is so hurtful, that is so murderous, and objectifies so much, those people are not the majority. You are a very, very underwhelming small majority of this country, and you will find that out. I'm just telling you. That's not a threat. That's just reality. There are so many people stepping to the plate now that it's why people are being so. It's why so many these white nationalist groups and so on, and the Trump people are so volatile right now. They're so angry. They're doing such hateful things. The reason they're doing that, and the reason they're promoting the violence and trying to antagonize and instigate, is because they're realizing that, wait a minute, the numbers of people against hate and against racism and against systemic racism are huge. We have to do something about that. And you can see it. They don't even hide it anymore. Very important. Very important. I hope people are getting this, because it's just so it's so overwhelmingly obvious that this is happening. And it's a shame that there still exists this segment of the population that just doesn't or isn't willing to admit it, that isn't willing to set the ignorance and the hate aside, to say, wait a minute, we are doing something wrong to a whole group of society. And not only do they not like it, not only are they fed up with the way that we treat black folk, but now millions upon millions of white people hate it too. So, you know, I you know, I well, I mean, look, in November, it's going to be quite obvious of where we stand as a nation. That's what I can tell you, and so I encourage everybody to engage in these conversations, and let's try to wake folk up. Let's try to to wake up each other and get let's get right, man. Let's get right. Let's get rid of hate. Let's get rid of oppression. Let's get rid of of racial insensitivity. Let's get rid of racial bias. Let's get rid of racial inequality. Let's get rid of violent racism. Let's get rid of all this stuff, and then we can be on the right path, so that everybody can love and be loved, and that would be awesome. So what I'm going to do now, as I do each week or each show, Every Wednesday and Sunday, by the way, I do this. And so I started a little early tonight because tonight a lot of people are going to be watching um, the the Black Panther tonight for Chadwick Boseman. They're doing like a thing at 8, which is going to be in like I think about 10 minutes. So I wanted to come on a little bit early and get things out there. And I'm glad that so many people took part in this. It was very awesome, and I'm humbled and I appreciate everyone. And please, if you're looking at this later, please share this with friends. Share this again every Wednesday and Sunday at 7, or we might start doing a little bit earlier, but every week, Wednesday and every Sunday, we're going to be doing this. I have guests coming in. I got some actors and musicians and radio personalities and other podcast people and live stream folk that are going to be and authors that are going to be coming to the table too as guests. Things are really, really, really happening with Food for Action, this show, I'm so humbled and blessed by it. We're touching a lot of people, and that's only God doing that because it is positive. We're trying to stamp out something that is negative. Before we go, I wanted to call your attention to a young lady, Sandra Bland. It's a life taken too soon. Mysterious circumstances of her passing, of her death, of her murder that they are trying to call a suicide. But we we are going to I'm going to read this story of short story of how and the surroundings of her passing. So again, her name is Sandra Bland. This story is from a group called Stories for Justice that is on Instagram. I have a couple of places that I get these stories because I want each episode to focus on a black life that was murdered or taken from us too soon, in unjustly. So this is Sandra Bland on July 10th, 2015, in Southeast Texas. Um, State Trooper, Texas State Trooper Brian Encina pulled over Sandra Bland for not signaling a left lane change. Bland was on the tail end of her drive from Illinois, where she is from, to Texas as she was relocating for a brand new job. So again, remember that she's going to Texas for a brand new job from Illinois. So obviously happy, obviously excited to get where she's going. She's at the end of this trip, and she changes a lane without doing a left signal. And so it began as a routine traffic stop, but escalated when Encina asked Bland to put out her cigarette. She responds, "I'm in my car. Why do I have to put out my cigarette?" Which obviously has nothing to do with the traffic stop if she's smoking a cigarette in her car. But again, Encina then immediately orders her to step out of the car for an unknown reason. Again, this is a left signal that she did not make, and so she's being stopped for the left lane change without doing the signal. Bland tells him she does not have to do that, which she doesn't. He repeats his order and opens her car door. She retorts, "You do not have the right to do that." He continues saying, "I do have the right. Step out or I will remove you," which he does not have the right to do. There was no cause for her to have to step out of the car for not smoking a cigarette or for the left signal change. The two continue to argue, and with Encina saying things like, "I'm going to yank you out of here." By the way, this is all caught on the camera, audio and video. I'm gonna yank you out of here, and Bland saying things like, "Don't touch me. I am not under arrest." Encina informs Bland she is under arrest at one point, and she asks for what. The two continue to go back and forth. Then suddenly Encina holsters his taser. Its lights flash on, which you can see in the video, and he points it at Bland while shouting, "Get out of the car. I will light you up. Get out now." Bland leaves her car while saying, You're doing all of this for a failure to signal, which again was the reason for the stop. She made a left lane change without signaling. Bland started to record the interaction on her own cell phone while she was still in her car, and continues to record the trooper as he orders her on the sidewalk, which they saw the footage is available of that. The taser remains pointed at her, and she shouts again, telling her to get. He shouts again, telling her to get off of her phone. Bland replies, "I'm not on the phone. I have the right to record. This is my property," which she does. She has the right to record. Bland continued to ask many times, "Why am I being arrested? Why can't you tell me that?" Insignia eventually tells her she wasn't being compliant. So again, she's pulled over for a left lane change. She is told to put out her cigarette because she won't put out her cigarette now in her own car, which she doesn't. She has the right to smoke in her car, even if it's a traffic stop, because that's all it was. Then the argument ensues, and then she says, "I'm not compliant because you just pulled me out of my car." Bland also says in the footage, "I can't wait until we go to court. Ooh, I can't wait. You just slammed me, knocked my head to the ground." Bland also said at one point, "I got epilepsy, you MRFer." And Senior replied to her, "Good, good," twice. Now again, what you don't hear in this conversation is that in the video you see where he pulls her out of the car, literally does slam her in effect to the ground, and this is all over her smoking a cigarette during a traffic stop. When he tells her to put the cigarette out when she's being stopped for a left lane change. After the authorities reviewed the dashcam footage, Encina was placed on administrative leave for failing to follow proper traffic stop procedures. Okay, Encina was initially indicted for perjury, the only criminal charge he has faced for this case, which is unreal, because he claimed his safety was in jeopardy at more than one time, which was not the case, which you could see in the footage. However, the charges against him were dropped after he agreed to never work in law enforcement again. Now, another part that happened in this was that where is it at? So there's another section to this, and that is that after this, she was arrested on suspicion of assaulting a public servant, and this is before the higher ups were able to view the footage to find out that she had done nothing wrong. She was found after she was arrested. 3 days later, she was found on July 13th. She was found dead in her cell after her arrest. Officials said the death was suicide by hanging with a plastic trash bag. Captain Brian Cantrell of the Waller County Sheriff's Department said Bland was found in a semi-standing position and that her feet were on the ground because she was 6 feet tall. The circumstances surrounding Bland's death remain unclear, with many doubting that she committed suicide. Her friends and family who talked to her while she was in jail said she was in good spirits and was looking forward to posting bond and starting her new job. So again, another life taken from us too soon with such a bizarre set of circumstances. You have a young lady who did nothing but an improper lane change, and then she would not put out her cigarette while she was sitting in her own car, which is nothing to do with a traffic stop, which has nothing to do with any of in other words, she has the right to smoke a cigarette in her car. It doesn't matter what else was going on. She does not have to put out her cigarette. And then she gets body slammed to the ground, pulled out of her car, body slammed to the ground, arrested, and then 3 days later she's dead by supposed suicide. It couldn't possibly be that because that traffic stop went horribly wrong that somebody decided to take it upon themselves and pronounce their own form of judgment upon her life. This young lady was getting ready to start a brand new job, had spoken to family members. She was starting a brand new job. She was looking forward to getting out, and she probably was looking forward to a nice, hefty lawsuit against the people, against that officer and the police department who did that to her. But instead, she ends up dead 3 days later. So this is again another reason why there is so much angst, so much anger, so much sadness, so much frustration in the black community today because of these things that keep on being perpetrated to our people, to black women, black children, black men. It is just sad, and we're tired of it. As I post all the time, enough is enough. It is time that people acknowledge what's going on. It's time for the police departments to get rid of the elements that are bad within their departments. We love the good police. We love the protect and serve police. We love the police that are awesome, that protect us, that keep us from harm, that risk their own lives. We love them. But we don't love that element that is in the department that keeps on committing these horrible, heinous crimes against a whole people. We don't love that. And we want you guys to get rid of that element out of your departments. So, listen, this is it for today. I love you guys. Watch Black Panther tonight. Pray for Chadwick Boseman's family. Pray for what's my guy's name from the Cliff Robinson from the Portland Trailblazers. Pray for his family, and then keep us all in your prayers, as we also will pray for you. And I'll see you guys Wednesday. Okay, love on each other. Let's stamp out this racism thing. Let's acknowledge. Let's talk to each other. Engage in the conversation, and then, as I say here, turn that conversation into thought. Turn that conversation into assessment. Turn that conversation into action. However you can. Whatever action you feel convicted to do, turn it into action. This is food for action. I'll see you guys Wednesday night. God bless you. Same black time, same black channel.